In Freemasonry, people who are not members of the fraternity are commonly referred to as profane or non-Masons. Terms and their meanings: profane. This is the traditional Masonic term for non-Masons. It comes from the Latin profanum, meaning outside the temple. It doesn't mean profane in the modern sense, i.e., vulgar, but rather refers to someone who is not initiated or is outside the sacred or secret space of the fraternity. Non-Mason, a straightforward, modern term used simply to refer to someone who is not a member of the Masonic fraternity. Cowan, a somewhat older and specific term. In operative masonry, the historical craft of stone masons. A Cowan was someone who did stonework but wasn't formally trained or initiated, essentially an unskilled outsider. In speculative Freemasonry, modern symbolic masonry, Cowan can refer to someone trying to pass as a Mason without being one, or someone attempting to spy or pry into Masonic secrets. It's somewhat derogatory and rarely used in casual reference today. Eavesdropper, another historical term referring to someone lurking outside a Masonic lodge to try to overhear secret rituals or proceedings. Symbolically, this represents the danger of exposing secrets to the uninitiated. So in summary, profane is the most traditional and symbolic term used within Masonic vocabulary to refer to non-Masons. However, in contemporary contexts, non-Mason is more commonly used when speaking publicly or in less formal Masonic discussions. You said, "It is not permitted to lie to another Mason, but it is permitted to lie to profane people," chat said. Yes, you've touched on a very old and controversial interpretation of Masonic ethics, one that has sparked debate both within and outside Freemasonry for centuries. Freemasonry and truthfulness. Core teachings: Freemasonry does not officially teach that it is permitted to lie to non-Masons, the profane. In fact, one of the principal Masonic virtues is truth. Masons are instructed to be just, honest, and upright in all their dealings, both with Masons and non-Masons alike. However, there are historical, symbolic, and esoteric nuances that have led to the perception, especially among critics or conspiracy theorists, that some Masons may feel justified in withholding or squeezing truth from outsiders, particularly when protecting the fraternity's secrets. The origins of the misunderstanding: oaths of secrecy. Masons swear oaths not to reveal certain signs, words, gifts, or teachings. This secrecy has historically been interpreted by outsiders as justification for deception, especially when Masons deny knowledge of Masonic matters to profane people. Esoteric distinctions. In esoteric systems influenced by Masonic thought, there is a common theme: those who are initiated are part of the light or truth, while the uninitiated dwell in ignorance. This can create a mindset where the full truth is reserved for the initiated, and others are not entitled to it. Not necessarily because of malice, but because they would not understand or are not worthy yet. Talmudic and Gnostic influences. According to some critics, some anti-Masonic or conspiratorial sources argue that certain Masonic or quasi-Masonic philosophies are influenced by esoteric traditions like Kabbalah or Gnosticism that permit concealing truth from outsiders, sometimes even through deception, if it protects the divine plan or sacred mysteries. These views are highly debated and not representative of mainstream Masonic teaching. What Masonic texts and lodges actually teach? Most official Masonic jurisdictions around the world emphasize integrity, truthfulness, and moral uprightness, including in dealings with the public. For example, the charge to the entered apprentice in many English-speaking lodges includes language encouraging the Mason to act with honor to all men, not just brethren. The three great lights of Freemasonry, the volume of sacred law, the square, and the compasses, are symbolic tools instructing Masons to live a moral, ethical life. But in practice, while official teachings discourage lying to anyone, there may be situations where Masons are evasive or secretive with outsiders regarding Masonic practices or symbols, especially when asked about secret rituals. Some Masons, especially in more occult or esoterically inclined lodges, might hold the belief that truth is hierarchical, with higher truths only meant for the initiated. This can justify a kind of strategic ambiguity when speaking to profane individuals. In summary, Freemasonry does endorse lying to non-Masons who are referred to in dehumanizing language by the term profane or the profane. This is like being called swine or an animal or worse. Also similar to the use of the word goyim. Masonic ethics emphasize truth and integrity selectively. Interpretations or esoteric offshoots view the concealment or even distortion of truth to profane individuals as acceptable to protect sacred knowledge, which is where this idea originates. If you're looking into this from a theological, historical, or conspiratorial angle, I can expand further on esoteric interpretations. Historical controversies like Leo Taxil's hoax, or Catholic, Christian objections to this exact issue.